And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley. What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Shaping Success Wednesday edition. We're going through the book Ars Victorious with Robert Watson. Get your copy today. It's out on Amazon. We've been doing this for 18 weeks, maybe 18 chapters so far.
18 weeks.
Yeah, there you go. We are halfway through the book. I mean, we're at 100. It's only 200 something pages, right? So we're about halfway through there. That's a little over 250. We're not halfway. We're getting close. This chapter this week is called Confidence, and a little bit of sports talk, a little bit of girl talk, a little bit of everything in this one.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we all need as the juice to be our best self as we show up to any kind of situation, right? And it's a combination always of the strategy we've applied to ourselves, the abilities we've gotten, the opportunity to use fearless execution, right? To not be afraid of the outcome and to realize that failure is part of success. But the reality is your competence is at such a level where you can feel comfortable in almost any situation. And you know, the opening thing is looking at Tom Brady as he, you know, comes into, I think the picture that I was looking at was he was in season 18, right? And he's looking over at a defense, and you have to ask a question after, you know, 400 plus games, right, of live action. Could you really surprise him? Is there really something that would be just shocking to him? Is there a way that a defense could put 11 guys in such a different way as to surprise him? I mean, can you imagine the repetitions?
It's pretty fitting, too, that this week was I don't know if you've been seeing the clips of the roast of Tom Brady, but it's kind of hilarious. Like, that's kind of out right now. And I was just sitting there thinking as I started reading this, it's like 23 freaking years. Holy smokes. At what point does it just become automatic? But a guy like that, you know, you always kind of compare him to like Michael Jordan. I feel like he's probably the Michael Jordan of football if I really thought about it. And he just, you know, like I'm listening to Michael Jordan's book right now. It's like there is this ability, even after 23 years, to know that you are not done. Like you are still trying to hone that craft and be better at what you're doing, even though I think he's probably got those 10,000 hours in.
Oh, yeah. No, you know, a Jordan or a Brady or a Gretzky, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who, you know, has, you know, they're at 30, 40,000 hours, well past the degree of mastery. But when you begin to look at the accomplishment, right, and not only the accomplishments, but the domination. I mean, Jordan won 6 championships, 2 three-peats. That's just beyond impressive. Brady played for 23 years, was in 10 Super Bowls. I mean, 10 Super Bowls. That means he literally played a Super Bowl every other year throughout his career. Every other year? That's phenomenal.
That's pretty dominating.
That's extremely dominating. And it also is, you know, in the roast, right? Of course, Peyton Manning comes out and does part of the roast, right?
Right.
And he makes the comment about his brother, you know, giving Tom Brady 2 of his 3 losses, right?
Yep.
Yeah. But, you know, they talk about Tom Brady makes the point all the time. The David Tyree catch, the catch against his helmet to basically beat them. He said, that's the way life is. And that's really what's so important in the entire conversation with Brady is he just says, you know what? It's the way it should go. The ball should not always go my way. The ball is going to go the other way. He says, you know, I had an undefeated season beaten by a guy who caught the ball against his helmet.
Right.
He said, you know, that's pretty impressive. But he said, it's okay. It's okay. But that's the way the game goes because there's years where I wasn't as good as I should have been and everything just went my way and I won. Right? Because, I mean, there was a couple Super Bowls that were, wow, pretty boring, right?
Yep.
That doesn't matter. It still goes down as a W.
Right, and that's the thing that's funny about all these Super Bowls lately. It seems like it's always just a really close, game. But it's always funny when that guy is playing. It's kind of like the cheap. People are talking about Mahomes kind of like being like the next Brady or whatever, and it is funny because I thought about that this year in this year's Super Bowl because I've always felt with Brady, it's like if they're behind at halftime or if they're behind, it doesn't really matter because he knows how to come back. He knows how to execute. He knows what he's going to do. And there's probably a 90% chance that if they're behind at halftime, they're coming back out to win. And that was kind of the way that I felt this year about the Chiefs because, Mahomes has just done it so many times. Like now all of a sudden, not as many times as Brady, but he knows what to do. He knows how to execute. He knows how to make it happen. And it's that confidence that even when you're behind, you still can get there. You still can win. You can still go, not get defeated about that.
And you heard his comment about the Chiefs, right? Brady's.
No, I
He said
missed that one.
he says 50 years of being terrible, 5 years of being good. Shake it off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But the reality is you begin to look at that kind of expression in this article was really written about an influencer, a fashionista out of Czechoslovakia,
Right.
right? This really wasn't written about sports. Sports just happened to get thrown in because this young woman came out and she was like 22 or 23 years old. And you could tell, I mean, she's coming out from Eastern Europe. She's very pretty, but she has such an incredible sense of style and the way she wears her clothing with such a confidence. And it's not a confidence that accrued. I mean, she was 21 when I did the piece on her. The reality is that she was very, very young. And where she found that confidence from, I have no idea, but it was brimming through every shot. And she just did an incredible job. And again, this is Eastern Europe, right? This isn't Paris. And yet she was doing something that I thought was extremely impressive. And so I wrote the piece for her, and she was so extremely sweet that she contributed back and forth to the piece as I wrote it. But I just said, style is such an amazing thing. And you have it because of your confidence, the way you wear your clothes, the way you stand, the way you smile. And, she doesn't really have that kind of confidence. She's not 150% confident. She's about 90% confident, but she pulls it off very well.
Yeah, and it's funny because as I was reading about that confidence, it's like you almost have to, and I've had this conversation with a few people, but you almost have to be a little cocky. Like you have to realize that you're capable of it, that you can do it. You have to have that confidence. You have to be trusting in yourself and knowing that what you are doing is right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that goes throughout the entire book is the idea that in every one of the life or death situations, I had the confidence in my training and my ability to be able to execute. I go back to the acronym, which is SAFE, which is you have to have the strategy, the ability, and then fearless execution. Fearless execution is just confidence, right? Yep. Just simply doing something with the belief that if you do it, it will work. And why? Because you practiced it, right? It doesn't come by accident. There's a reason why rookie quarterbacks can look good in their first year and look like trash in their second year. Why? Defenses figure them out.
Right.
They've got to adjust. So now you got to remember, it's not just your ability to show up to a situation, but your ability to show up to a situation and adjust for what's going on in the situation that makes it so amazing. And your ability, your confidence in your ability to adjust is everything. Because if you think it's a one-trick pony, that's not the way life works. Life will continue to throw you curves, so you got to continue to adjust.
Yeah, and I mean that's why it's funny that we always go back to sports, but like I think for you and me, that's kind of one of those places where we really see that, we really relate, make that connection back to the fact that, just like at a bat in baseball, it's not the last one. The pitcher's going to come back at you with something different the next time if you hit him, and if he didn't hit you, he's going to keep coming at you until you figure out what he's doing.
Yeah. And, that's the interesting part. So in sports, there are lots of one-to-one matchups, right? Like in basketball, pitching. But the reality is the reason why it's so effective, it's a team sport, right? Other than things like tennis when you're playing singles, everything's a team sport, meaning, yes, your one-on-one matchup matters, but it also matters that you can work as a team. And that's why it's such a good analogy to life. You need to be able to have the confidence in your ability, but your confidence has to be enough so your teammates buy in, right?
Right.
Because if your teammates don't buy into what's going on, there was a conversation about Michael Jordan taking that final shot in this at the sixth game of the sixth championship he would win. And it was like 21 seconds left, and they were on the sideline, and he was gassed. And they asked Scottie Pippen what he wanted to do, and Pippen just said, "Get out of the way." He said, because Jordan was taking the shot. And even it was Dennis Rodman who said, because he was trailing back up the field, he says, "My job, get out of the way too."
Yeah.
He said, just, we know what was going to happen. Everybody knew what was going to happen. And guess what? They still didn't have the ability to stop him.
Yeah.
That's pretty amazing.
That's the confidence that you need. That's the thing. It's like just knowing and believing in. And it was impeccable because he's talking about it like I said, I'm going through this. I think it's like it's got to be the life story of Jordan or who he, but they're talking about that, how he just he destroyed guys at practice. And so he practiced harder than he played in a game because he knew that if he could do it at practice, he was going to execute in a game. And that's it. It's like you may be gassed, but you're still knowing that you can do it because you prepared.
Yeah. And one of the things that this fashionista was doing, which was so interesting, of course, was she was doing locales that were cost effective to her. But, now multi years into her program, she's everywhere, right? She's in faraway countries doing great shots. And so she's evolved because she knew you can't stay where you were.
Right.
She was doing amazing. I mean, she had just went from nothing to like 20,000 followers, right? Well, she's at like 80,000 followers now. And what is she doing? She's continuing to evolve, because again, what happened? She got competition. So what happened when you get competition? You have to evolve. Same thing with all of us. There's a great SEAL mantra. It is the only easy day was yesterday. And that really has to stick into people's minds a lot because there's a lot of coasting mentality,
right, that
says, I've got it, I've got there. No, you got to evolve. Yeah, I was good yesterday, but today I got to be better. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I think Mahomes has done so well when he, again, I hate to go back to football, but it's a great analogy, was the man learned to stop running.
Yeah.
Because what he realized was the guys in the NFL are about 35 to 40 pounds bigger across the front. That means when they hit you, you're going to know it. And the one thing he realized is, I can't take all those hits. I've got to get smarter. And he has gotten smarter. He's evolved. And you've seen the guys who didn't evolve, right? What happened? It doesn't matter. They're not in the league anymore. Yeah. They're gone. And so you're seeing a man evolve. You saw his offense evolve, right? He became more dependent on the running game.
Mm-hmm.
It's all smart. It's all about evolving as a person. It's always about the little changes we're going to make. And I think people get stuck on change as this huge mountain you got to climb. It's not. It's the small incremental things you're trying to do, right? It's like I used to, I still have a running streak. Sure. Yeah. But I've added rowing to it. Okay. Because basically in the back part of the day, I realized that the rowing strengthens all these muscle groups that I need to do on top of my running, on top of my weightlifting, on top of my isometrics. So I added rowing. And I only added 13 or 14 minutes. But again, what is it? It's evolving.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. And I mean,
just continue to try to evolve.
It's those adjustments, and not to say that you're getting old or anything, but like but I'm going to say you're getting old. As you're getting older, I mean, your body changes and you have to adjust to that situation to make it so that you can continue to do the things that you want to do. I mean,
Right.
It's just like I was talking to you this morning about how tired I am. Like I'm freaking, I don't know why. Like it is what it is, but like I need to make an adjustment. I need to figure out what that adjustment is to make it so that I am not so tired. What can I do to, you know, whether it be getting up, a little bit later or getting more exercise or going to bed early or whatever. You have to make that adjustment to figure out what is going to change that so that you can function better.
Yeah, and I take I think 8 supplements.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I keep tweaking the supplements based upon what I think I need to try to accomplish, especially when I start to get a little muscle sore or a little crampy or all that kind of. I'm thinking, okay, now what am I short of? Am I short of magnesium? What do I need to tweak in here?
Yep.
Or what way do I need to? For example, I was taking magnesium in a pill. Do I need to start taking it in a drink? Does somebody have a better version of it?
Right.
So I don't ever stop that progression of going, well, maybe I could tweak it a little bit different. Is there some way I could do it cheaper than what I'm doing?
Right.
Better. So that's always the process. That's why I say that you've got a strategy, you acquire the ability, and then you go through this fearless execution. And then you basically go back and check your strategy to make sure you're getting what you want, right?
Yep.
Because the world evolves. And then you've got to go ahead and do what? Reacquire the abilities. You've got to be able to do something a different way.
Yep. And this is not the one thing that I really like about this is like a lot of people have to make the connections, and I always make them in my mind. It's like how, and that's something that I challenge people to do. How can even if it doesn't relate to you, like we're talking about sports, right? You have to evolve. You have to make the adjustment. And in my life, there's things that happen all the time. Like I'm a salesman, and it doesn't mean that the product hasn't changed. Like that's something that I have to make an adjustment to my delivery of my pitch to the customer. That's saying, hey, this is one of the big things that just happened in the blind industry or window covering industry is that they did away with cords. And that is the least inexpensive way to get someone to buy something because cords are the cheapest option, right? Now they don't have them anymore. So their option for the cheapest thing has just gone up in price. And so now you have to go, well, what can I do to prove to them that this is a better option, give them the value, show them something different. And it's ever evolving, and you can use that in your life no matter what you're doing. How can you make the adjustment to get that done and make those parallels?
Yeah, it doesn't seem to matter much. The other thing we also have to remember is our expectations. There are times when we get outcomes, right? When we do everything right, we've got a good strategy, we've acquired the ability, we've fearlessly executed, we don't get the outcome we wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because of the strategy or the ability or the fearless execution was wrong. That's the way, as Tom Brady said, that's the way the ball rolled.
Right.
Okay. Guy caught the ball on his helmet. You lose a perfect season. It's the way it goes. So that's the same situation with me. I thought I knew what my next step in education was. I found out that wasn't going to be the next step.
Right.
But I had the unique privilege. I applied to one university for a master's before I just got this one, right? One. I applied to one university to go on to my next program. One. And was accepted.
Yep.
I didn't apply to 100. I applied to one. It was not my first choice. But when you looked at the choices, there wasn't any other viable choice that did everything I needed it to do. So it wasn't like I was, throwing it out there like a shotgun approach. It was, this is the only viable choice. And I got accepted by my only viable choice. Was that a risk on my part? No. I thought that I had planned and prepared properly, but it still wasn't the place that I saw myself at 3 years ago.
Right.
But I understand that what it can do for me. I understand the gift that it is. And I have to use and I have to make that gift. And so my expectations have to adjust.
Yeah. And I mean, that adjustment, and just like you said, like you applied to one, but the thing that I think people lose is that like the end result is going to be the same, right? You're still, even though you're not going to Notre Dame, or you're not going to Duke or whatever, like you're still going to get the same thing. And the plan hasn't really changed for what the end result is. It's just the way that the path to get there has changed a little bit.
Yeah, and that's the thing is and just adjusting your expectations of, here's what I thought I would be doing this next fall. and that's not what I'm doing. And it was kind of like a pause, like, wow, that wasn't my. And the reality is that unfortunately, sometimes with all your best intentions, all your best effort, all it just doesn't work out the way you thought.
Right.
Okay, you have to have the confidence in yourself to take a situation that's less than perfect and make it be the thing you need for the next step in your life, whatever that might be. In other words, instead of looking at your setback as a step backwards, look at your step back as a set up to the next place you've got to go. And so that requires the confidence that I have the ability for not to be too trite, but to take lemons and turn them into lemonade. And that I have that ability, and I know that I have that ability, and I will go, okay, this is not what I wanted, but perfect. There are so many good things in here that I can turn this into what, and again, that's back to confidence, right? I can take a tough situation and turn it into anything. And these creators, and I go back to my fashionista, for example, I cannot tell you the number of malfunctions they face when trying to do a shoot, right?
Oh, yeah.
From clothing malfunctions to lighting malfunctions to weather. And what do? They just keep improvising, adapting, and overcoming, right?
Yeah.
Changing their strategy. And really what it is we see perfection, right?
Mm-hmm.
We see the finished product. But how the sausage is made, wow, really different. But that's basic on the capabilities and the confidence that they have. They can get through any challenge and produce a finished product that they'll be proud of.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're all trying to do.
Richard says, let's see, like how soul food and some of the best dishes came about, taking what was available and making it happen. Yeah, that is exactly what it is. It's putting all those ingredients in and making the most out of it. So very, very good conversation. You guys, confidence is very important to what you're doing, and once you find that, you can be unstoppable.
Absolutely.
Well, Robert, it's been great having this conversation. I enjoy it every Wednesday. We get to talk a little bit more, and next week we're going to talk about conformity. If you guys haven't got the book yet, go get it. Ars Victorious. You get it on Amazon. Follow along with us, and we will see you next week.
Thank you, Wes.
All right. See ya.